My name is Aria. I am 29 years old. I live in a small town near the mountains. I work as a school teacher. I love children. I love painting. I love quiet mornings with coffee and books. 3 years ago, I met Daniel. He was funny. He was kind. He asked about my dreams. He listened to me when I talked. We met at a bookstore. I dropped a book. He picked it up. That was the beginning. Daniel was a doctor. He had soft eyes and a warm voice. When he smiled, I felt safe. We talked for hours in cafes. We walked in the park on Sundays. He once said, "With you, I feel peace." After 6 months, he said, "I want you to meet my family." I felt nervous but happy. I wanted them to like me. We drove to his parents' house. It was big and quiet. His mother opened the door. She looked at me, not with a smile, not with joy, just a small hello. His father said, "So, this is her?" I smiled. "Hello, it's nice to meet you." He looked at Daniel and said, "You didn't tell us she's a teacher." Dinner was quiet. I tried to talk, but his mother didn't ask me anything. She asked Daniel how work was. She asked about the hospital. She didn't look at me. His sister Emma came later. She gave me a short hug, then whispered, "You don't look like the girls he dated before." I didn't understand. I smiled anyway. After dinner, Daniel said, "I think they like you." I wanted to believe him. So I said, "Maybe they're just shy." But in my heart, I felt something cold. Months passed. Daniel and I moved in together. He asked me to marry him. I said yes. I was happy. I thought, this is my new family. His mother didn't call to say congratulations. His sister didn't reply to my message. Only his father said, "It's your life, Daniel." At our engagement party, his mother wore black. She said, "It's just a color." But I felt the meaning. She pulled Daniel to the side. I heard her say, "You can still change your mind." Daniel said, "Stop it, Mom. I love her." I stood alone near the window. My smile faded. When we got married, I invited my parents, my cousins, my old teacher. Everyone from my side smiled, danced, and hugged us. His family sat at a table in the corner. They didn't clap during our first dance. They didn't come to the photo booth. They left early. That night I cried in the bathroom. Daniel knocked. "Are you okay?" I said, "Why don't they like me?" He said, "They'll come around." But they didn't. Our new home was small but sweet. I painted the walls soft yellow. I put flowers near the window. I wanted it to feel warm. Daniel worked long hours. I cooked dinner every night. I called his mother to ask what dish he liked as a child. She said, "You should already know." I hung up. My hand shook. One evening she visited without calling. She looked around and said, "So plain. Doesn't feel like home." I made tea. She took one sip and said, "Not like mine." I sat quietly. I felt small in my own house. Daniel came home and said, "Hi, Mom." She smiled at him, not at me. That night I asked him, "Did I do something wrong?" He said, "No. She's just like that." A few weeks later, Emma got engaged. Daniel was happy for her. We went to her party. I wore a soft pink dress. I gave her a necklace with her name on it. She opened it, smiled faintly, and said, "Thanks." Later, I heard her talking to someone. "I don't know what he sees in her. She's so simple." She didn't know I was behind the door. That night I didn't speak in the car. Daniel asked, "What's wrong?" I said, "They think I don't belong." He sighed. "Please don't start this again." "Start what?" I asked. "I just want to feel welcome." "You're making it hard," he said. His words hurt more than Emma's. We had dinner with his parents again. I brought a small plant for his mother. She looked at it and said, "I don't need more things to take care of." I put it on the table anyway. His father asked me, "Still teaching little kids?" I smiled. "Yes. I love it." He said, "Maybe you'll get a real job one day." Daniel laughed. I didn't. Later, I washed dishes in the kitchen alone. I heard them in the living room. His mother said, "She's not like us." His father said, "She's too soft." His sister said, "She doesn't fit." And Daniel said nothing. That night I told him, "You didn't speak up for me." He said, "I didn't want to argue." I said, "So you let them talk about me?" He looked tired. "I don't want to choose between you and them." I whispered, "But they've already chosen. They don't want me." He didn't answer. I turned off the light. I didn't sleep. The next day, I visited my mother. I sat at her kitchen table and cried. She held my hand. "You don't have to try so hard to be loved, Arya." I said, "But I want to be part of his family." She said, "You married him, not their cold hearts." I hugged her. I felt safe. But when I came home, Daniel was quiet. He said, "My mom feels like you're not trying." I laughed. I cook, I smile, I stay quiet. What more do they want? He didn't answer. I said, "Maybe I'll never be enough for them." He said, "Don't say that." But I knew. Deep down, I knew. Before I share the rest of my story, I want to ask you something. Where are you listening from? It gives me strength to know someone is hearing my words, someone who understands me. Please tell me in the comments. I would really love to know. A few months passed. I stopped visiting his family. I stayed quiet when they were mentioned. I focused on my job, my students, and our little home. Daniel stopped talking much about them too. He said, "Let's just live our life." But deep inside, I felt something growing, a distance, not just with his family, but with him. One evening, Daniel came home and said, "Emma is having a baby." I smiled. "That's wonderful." He said, "They're having a family dinner next week. You should come." I looked at him. "Do they want me there?" He paused. "It would mean a lot to me." So I said yes. The day of the dinner, I wore a soft blue dress. I made a cake with strawberries. I told myself, maybe this time will be better. We arrived at his parents' house. His mother opened the door. She looked at the cake and said, "Too sweet for us, but thank you." Emma was glowing. Her husband stood beside her proudly. Everyone gave her gifts and hugs. I gave her a small hand-knitted baby blanket I made myself. She smiled and said, "Oh, handmade," then placed it on a chair. His mother gave her a gold necklace. His father gave her a baby stroller. They smiled at each other. I stood in the corner watching. At dinner, I sat next to Daniel. No one spoke to me. Emma talked about baby names. His father talked about money. His mother talked about old family traditions. I tried to join the talk once. I used to help in the nursery at my school. Babies love music. His mother looked at me. "That's cute, but family is different from work." I felt heat in my face. Daniel said nothing. I looked at him, but he didn't even glance at me. After dessert, I went to the bathroom and locked the door. I looked in the mirror. My eyes were red. My lips trembled. I whispered, "Why am I here?" That night we drove home in silence. When we got home, I said, "They treat me like I'm invisible." Daniel sat down and rubbed his face. "Please don't do this again." I said, "Do what? Speak the truth?" He stood up. "They're not going to change. Just accept it." I felt a pain in my chest. So I have to accept being treated like nothing. He looked angry. "You're making everything harder." I walked away. That night, I didn't sleep beside him. I curled up on the couch. The blanket felt cold. 1 week later, my mother fell sick. I stayed with her for a few days. Daniel didn't visit. He messaged, "Hope she feels better." That's all. When I returned, the house was clean. Dinner was on the table, but he didn't say much. I asked, "Do you miss me when I'm gone?" He said, "It's quieter." That answer broke something inside me. A few days later, his parents visited without calling. I opened the door. His mother said, "Where's Daniel?" I said, "At work." She walked in and looked around. "This place still feels temporary." His father said, "We told him not to rush marriage." I stood there, frozen. She looked at me. "You don't look well. You should take better care of yourself." I said, I was with my sick mother. She raised her eyebrow. Still? I walked to the kitchen. I didn't want them to see my tears. When Daniel came home, I told him everything. He said, "They didn't mean it." I said, "But they said it." He said, "You're being too sensitive." I whispered, "You're supposed to defend me." He walked away. Our talks became shorter. Our nights became quiet. I read alone in bed. He stayed on the sofa with his phone. One evening I asked, "Do you still love me?" He said, "What kind of question is that?" I said, "A question from someone who feels unloved." He didn't answer. I started going for walks alone. I watched the sky. I listened to birds. I tried to feel peace again. One morning at school, a student gave me a flower. "You're the best teacher," she said. I almost cried. She didn't know, but her little voice reminded me who I was. I was not weak. I was not invisible. At home, I started painting again. Soft colors, open skies, strong women. Daniel saw them once and said, "You have time for this now?" I said, "I need something to feel alive." He didn't understand, or maybe he didn't care. One Saturday, I went to the market. I saw Emma. She was with her husband and her new baby. She saw me and looked away. I walked over anyway. "Your baby is beautiful," I said. She smiled a little. "Thanks," I said. "I know I'm not what you wanted in the family, but I'm still here, and I still wish you happiness." She said nothing, but her eyes softened for just a second. I walked away. My hands were cold, but my heart felt lighter. That night I told Daniel, "I'm tired." He said, "Me too." I said, "Not tired from work. Tired from trying to be part of a family that never wanted me." He looked at me. "Are you saying you want to leave?" I said, "No. I want to be seen. I want to be loved." He looked down. "I don't know what to say anymore." I said, "That's the problem." I packed a bag the next morning, just for a few days. I told him, "I need space. I'm going to my mother's." He said, "Fine." He didn't ask me to stay. As I left, I looked at our wedding photo on the wall. We were smiling, holding hands, hopeful. That girl in the photo wanted love, wanted a family, but the family didn't want her. I sat on the bus. I looked out the window. Trees passed by. The sky was wide and blue. I thought, I don't know what happens next, but I know I need to breathe. And for the first time in a long time, I did. I stayed at my mother's house for 2 weeks. She made tea every morning. She didn't ask many questions. She just sat beside me. One day I said, "I feel like I failed." She looked at me. You didn't fail. You just gave love to the wrong people. Her words stayed with me. Daniel didn't visit. He didn't call. He sent 2 short texts. Hope you're okay. Let me know when you're coming back. That was all. I stared at my phone every night, hoping, wishing, but the silence said everything. One evening, I took a long walk. The air was soft. The trees moved gently. I passed by my old school. The windows were glowing with light. I missed my students. I missed their laughter. But I didn't miss my house. I didn't miss the quiet cold between me and Daniel. I didn't miss feeling like a stranger in my own life. The next morning, I wrote a letter. It wasn't long. Daniel, I waited for your love to protect me. I waited for your family to accept me. But I can't wait anymore. I need peace. I need light. I need to be seen. Goodbye. Aria. I left the letter at our house. I didn't wait to see his face. I didn't need to. Because this time, I chose myself. Weeks passed. I moved back in with my mother. I started painting every day. Bright skies, strong trees, open doors. My old school asked me to return. I said yes. The children ran into my arms. One girl said, "I missed your stories." I smiled and said, "I missed you too." One Saturday, I joined a small art group. We painted by the river. There, I met Claire. She was soft-spoken, kind, and always smiling. We became friends quickly. We talked about books, nature, and healing. One day she said, "You speak gently, but your heart is strong." I smiled. "I used to feel small," she said. "Not anymore." One evening, Daniel called. I saw his name on the screen. I didn't answer. He sent a message. "I didn't fight for you like I should have. I'm sorry." I read it, but I didn't reply. Some apologies come too late. A few months later, Emma sent a message. "I just wanted to say, you were kind to me. I didn't see it before." That night, I cried. Not because of pain, but because I was finally letting go of it. I held an art show in the town library. I called it Still Here. People came. They looked at my paintings. They asked questions. They smiled. One woman pointed to a painting of a woman standing alone, holding an open umbrella under a clear sky. She asked, "Is this about heartbreak?" I said, "No, it's about surviving it." I don't hate Daniel. I don't hate his family. But I will never again stay quiet just to be accepted. Love should not feel like begging. Family should not feel like walking on glass. Now, I sleep with calm breath. I wake with soft joy. Sometimes I still think of the past. The dinners, the silence, the hurt. But then I remember the girl in the mirror now. The one who smiles while she paints. the one who speaks with pride, the one who walks alone and walks tall. She's not waiting to be chosen anymore because she chose herself. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.